The Trade Reform, Accountability, and Development Act, called the Trade Act, is legislation that has a lot of support in the U.S. Congress that, first of all, calls for review of existing U.S. trade agreements, calls for renegotiation of the big ones like NAFTA and WTO to meet certain criteria, sets a whole new model of what must and must not be in U.S. trade agreements, and then sets a new process for negotiations to make sure that those new standards are what actually we get, so that we harness the benefits of trade, but we replace the damaging NAFTA WTO model. Effectively, the Trade Act is the tool for global justice activists in the United States to deliver the hard political work of President Obama campaigning on trade reform, our Congress increasingly campaigning on trade reform, and now we actually have to have the tool to translate the policy, and that's the Trade Act. What we've seen in the U.S. is that the Trade Act has both political and legal uses. Politically, it's just been very helpful to articulate concretely what we're for, what we want in good trade agreements, so that when we're fighting against the WTO model or the model of the EPAs, we actually are saying, and this is what we are for, we're for trade but different rules. So I think politically that could be very useful in Europe as well. Now, legally, it's more complicated because in the United States, our Congress has exclusive authority over trade. So when we build a majority in our Congress, that's what the policy is going to be of the U.S. But I know the mixed competencies of the EU and the member states and the Commission and the Parliament are much more complicated. So yeah, I think it could be very useful. You're just going to need to figure out exactly where and how you can use this vehicle.